Hey sunshines, and welcome back to Percolating with the Busy Bee. Before I get into today's episode, I have to share my fantastically fun earrings that I got this last week. Last week was our Texas Library Association conference. It was virtual, but that doesn't mean I couldn't do a little bit of shopping. One of our author panels had Nick Stone on it, and Nick Stone is a fantastic author. I love Clean Getaway, Dear Martin, so many great books. Those are just a couple of them. But she always has the best earrings on. So while she was on the panel, we asked her where she got her earrings from. And she told us Exalting in Beauty, which is an Etsy store. And so I went online. I was like, well, I need some really fun earrings. So I bought these ginormously cute exclamation points. They're like made out of perler beads. They're super lightweight. They're super fun. They came in a really cute packaging. I love it. So thank you, Nick Stone, for not only fantastic books, but also thank you, Exalting in Beauty, for super, super fun earrings. I can't wait to splurge and get a couple more earrings. They're so fun. But today I want to talk to you guys about my reading habits and what I've read in the month of April. I know April's not completely over. Should actually finish one more book tomorrow. It's really good. But I want to share with you guys about my reading habits. One, a couple of years ago, we had somebody come talk to all the librarians, and what she said really spoke to me. So Jill Bellamy, you can find her on Twitter, she asked us, she goes, how many TV shows do you watch? Well, quite a few. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I love Law and Order and can watch the reruns forever and ever and ever. But I watch a lot of TV shows. I mean, I read a lot too, but I watch a lot of TV shows. And she said, if you can watch that many TV shows, then you should be able to keep up with enough characters in several different books. At the time, I was only reading about one book at a time, but that made a lot of sense to me. I was like, I do keep up with a lot of characters on TV shows. So I changed how I read. I usually am reading 2 to 4 books at a time, depending on, well, during the school year, I don't have time to read as much. I mean, I read, but just not as much as I would like to read, because librarians do more than read books. I promise we do so much more. So what I usually have is I have a book on my Kindle that I've checked out. I love using Sora because I can send it to my Kindle app. So I read a book on my Kindle. I can't read books on my phone. I could read a book on my phone, but I get really distracted with TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and I forget that I'm reading a book. So I actually have a Kindle for my books for Kindle app. So I'm reading a book on my Kindle. I'm usually reading a graphic novel at the same time, along with a library book that I keep downstairs or in my purse. And I also listen to a ton of audiobooks. I love the Sora app, and I have listened to so many audiobooks this year, because not only is it fantastic because I can listen to a book when I'm walking or when I'm working around the house or I'm working in the library, I also can listen to it at a faster speed. Now, sometimes the voice actors that are in it, I have a harder time listening to them at a faster speed, but most of the time I listen to my books at double speed. Side note, you can do that for YouTube videos as well. You can change the speed that you listen to videos. So I listen to my books faster. And also this summer, I love mystery genre. That's one of my favorites. Love mystery. I also love dystopian. I haven't read as much dystopian this year because it kind of feels like we're living in a dystopian world, but I do love a dystopian novel. But this summer, I realized I need to step out of my comfort zone and read more books that were windows and sliding doors rather than just ones that were mirrors. So I definitely have read so many more authors because of my fantastic friends that I get to talk to about different books and different authors. So with me reading 3 or 4 books at a time and making sure I have a very diverse reading, what I'm reading is diverse, then I can talk with my students about with a lot more different books too. So I want to share with you guys what I have read in the month of April. I've actually finished 5 books this month. These actually were all audiobooks. I am working on 1 Kindle and 1 graphic novel right now. It just takes me a little longer to read, I'll be honest, because my Kindle is next to my bed, and by the time I go to bed, I'm pretty tired, and I don't necessarily, I fall asleep with the Kindle on my face. Thank goodness you can't bend pages, because I do fall asleep. But I want to share the books that I've read this month. Now, just like I tell my students though, I'm trying to think if I gave up on a book this month. I tell my students that it's okay to give up on a book. Now, before you give up on a book though, you have to give it a chance. You can't just be like, oh, I read one page or one sentence and this book wasn't for me. You have to listen to a couple of chapters, or you have to read a couple of chapters to see if it's for you. But not every book is going to be for you. And that's the conversation I have with my students too. Not every book is going to be for you. That's okay. And sometimes too, guys, as a librarian, I try to always give great recommendations. I don't always give great recommendations. And I do a lot of book talking, but guess what else? Here's a secret. I don't always read all the books that I book talk, because although I read a lot, I have not read the thousands of books that are in my library. So you just have to be a good actor or actress. Anyway, so I want to share with you guys the books that I've read this month. And I know that I'm behind the game on a couple of these. I know they're a few years old. I've only been in middle school this is my 3rd year in middle school. I was in elementary land for a long time. So I've read a lot of picture books. I'm catching up on my middle school books. And also, middle school books are a whole different area than like your high school books. Middle schoolers are odd anyway. I love them. They're awkward, they're fun, they're quirky. But middle school books they're quirky too. So I want to share with you guys what I've read this month. So I finished up March finishing up at the very end of March. I finished up the first in the Matched series by Ali Condi. Oh my goodness. During the school year, I do read the first in a series, but I don't necessarily read the whole series because I want to read more books. But this one I could not put down. It was so good. So the second one is Crossed by Ali Condi, and the third one is Reached. So this follows Cassia as she is now going to the outer provinces and trying to find Kai, and the society is trying to take over again. There's so much that happens. Probably my favorite series that I've read all year is the Match series. So I finished both of these books. They are dystopian. But things that happen to them too, I'm like, when did you write these? Because there's things that, there's a plague going around, and they're trying to make sure people feel better with that only certain people are getting. I can't give all the way, but just know that this is a fantastic series. Like I said, I know I'm late to the game. So good. Ali Condi's Match series, so good. So like I said, I do try to read different genres and different styles. So this month is also poetry month, so I try to read a couple of books that were books in verse, and these did not disappoint either. So this is another one that I promote to my kids all the time. It's Crossover by Kwame Alexander. Kwame Alexander has such a way with words. I did listen to this book as an audiobook. I will be honest, it was a great narrator, but with a book in verse, you want to be able to see the words, because and especially how Kwame writes, he really he changes how his words look and everything, so to go with that rhythm. Very, very good. So the main character is a basketball player, and so is his dad. This book did not end how I thought it was going to end. There was a lot more that happened. It's very good. But a kid that plays basketball, and his dad was a really good basketball player as well. Very well known. So Crossover by Kwame Alexander. Fantastic. So this next one, I'll Be Honest by K.A. Holt by House Arrest. This is another one that's a book in verse. I loved listening to it. I also, this one was not what I was expecting it to be either. I thought house arrest, okay, it's pretty interesting. But the reason he's on house arrest, this teenager is on house arrest because he's gotten in trouble because he stole money, but it's to help pay for his brother's medication. So he has to spend 52 weeks going to, talking to his parole officer. He has to talk to a counselor and kind of figure out what to do and how to be who he wants to be. Very, very good. can't wait to recommend this book to even more kids because House Arrest is so good. Oh my goodness. House Arrest by K.A. Holt. And I just finished up Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I have had lots of students read this book. I finally picked it up. And you know, it was really good. The reds are, I did a book talk on this. The reds are commoners and the silvers are elite and also possess special powers. But the main character is a red, and she doesn't think she's ever going to get out of her poverty-stricken area and ends up getting a job at the Silver Palace. And then she realizes that she too has a special power. But the silvers don't want to upset the balance, so they kind of use her and hide her in plain sight. There's superpowers, there's kingdoms, there's princes, there's so much happening in Red Queen. So this is also a series. I won't finish reading this series. I'll probably finish reading this series this summer. And right now I'm reading York, and York is so good. It's a book I judged by its cover, and I am so glad that I finally picked it up because it's a great little mystery. And that's what I'm reading right now. So I should be done with York. I don't have it with me. I should be done with York by the end of this week. It's really good. If you like National Treasure and you like ciphers and you like mysteries, York is fantastic. So many great books, and I love that I have so many friends that I can go and talk to about the different books. I said these were all fairly lighthearted. Crossover and House Arrest were a lot deeper for the most part, though. They're pretty lighthearted books. So that's kind of my reading. That's what I do for reading. I have an audiobook that I listen to double speed. I have a book on my Kindle, and then I have a graphic novel and a library book that I keep checked out. So, what are you reading, and what are you percolating on?